Lila. I'm leaving you. Me and Kyle are flying to Mexico. He's 22. I emptied the joint account. LOL didn't blink, didn't swear. Just stared at the screen for a few seconds while my heart dropped through the concrete floor. I slid the phone back into my pocket, finished torquing down the caliper bolts, then stood up and waved the customer out with a quick thumbs up. After the truck pulled out of the bay, I grabbed a warm Gatorade from the mini fridge, took a sip, and texted her back. Good luck. My name's Mason. I'm 37 years old. I run a two-bay auto shop in Dayton, Ohio. Been married to Lila for 12 years. Thought we were building something real, but I should have seen it. The signs weren't subtle. Couple months back, she started guarding her phone like it had launch codes in it, would turn it face down at dinner, step outside to take calls from work, suddenly had a thing for new gym leggings and weekly spray tans, said she was getting serious about health and career growth. Sure. Then came the late meetings, team happy hours, and Thursday night trainings that ran past midnight. I asked once if she wanted me to pick her up. She laughed and said, "No way, I'm Ubering. You don't need to wait up." I didn't. But something shifted. That gut instinct? It kicked in loud. The kind you ignore because it's easier to stay blind. She used to joke about how much I loved my garage more than her. Said I married that damn shop. Funny thing is, the garage never lied to me. Quick note, before listening, share in the comments which city or country you're watching from. And let's continue. Now here I was, sweat running down my back, hands still smelling like brake cleaner, and she'd just torched a 12-year marriage in a 3-line text like it was some joke. And Kyle? I met him once, skinny kid from her office who barely looked legal. She introduced him at the holiday party last year. Said he was just an intern. Guess he got promoted. She thought that text would break me, but all it did was confirm what I already knew. I chugged the rest of the Gatorade, tossed the bottle in the bin, and got back under the next car. By the time I slid under the next car that day, I already knew. I didn't know the full story yet, but I knew enough. The rooftop dinner receipt was the turning point, not the text. That one slipped out of her purse 3 months earlier. Thursday night, dated, timed, 2 entrees, 2 drinks. Total just shy of $100 for a night she swore she was in mandatory training. She got home late that night wearing the same blazer she left in, but her makeup was fresh, like she redid it in the car. She smelled like citrus and hotel soap, not the gym. I didn't ask questions. I just said, "Long day?" And she nodded too quickly. That same night, while she showered, I opened a separate account at a credit union an hour outside of Dayton. Small branch, no shared apps, no chance she'd stumble into it. I transferred over most of my savings, just enough to keep me safe. After that, I played dumb, kept the same habits, cooked dinner twice a week, took her car in for oil changes, let her keep pretending. She started asking more questions about our money, things she never cared about before. One Sunday, over pancakes, she said, "We should simplify. Just merge everything. One big account, joint savings, easy access. It's what couples do." I didn't flinch, said, "That's smart." The next morning, I made the big move. Pulled every cent from our old savings and pushed it into a new money market account under my name only. Kept just enough in checking to keep up appearances. Groceries, gas, date night DoorDash. After that, I went into full prep mode. Every odd charge that hit the joint account, I screenshotted it, made a folder called Receipts, Just in Case, on a thumb drive I kept in the glove box. Hotel in Columbus? Screenshot. 2-person Lyft ride at 2 in the morning? Screenshot. Uber from a bar back to a random apartment complex 30 miles out? Screenshot and Google Maps lookup. She thought I didn't pay attention. That was her mistake. Then came the nail polish on the collar of her pea coat. Not hers. A shade too bright, like cheap fire engine red. Found it when I hung it up one night. I didn't ask. Didn't throw it in her face. Just added it to the mental list. Couple weeks later, she started dressing nicer for meetings. New leggings, pricey sneakers, tops that showed just enough to feel off. I asked what gym she was going to. She couldn't remember the name. Some boutique spot near the office. That told me everything I needed. I stopped sleeping all the way through the night. Every time she shifted in bed or grabbed her phone at 3 a.m., I'd wake up and just lie there, staring at the ceiling fan like it had answers. But I didn't get emotional. I got quiet, focused, like a man about to walk through fire. I even cleaned out the garage one weekend just to burn the nerves off. Tossed old parts, repainted one of the walls, fixed the leaky sink by the bathroom. She barely noticed. "You're finally organizing that thing?" she joked. I smiled. "Gotta keep the hobby alive." She laughed, said, "That little shop's gonna kill you before I do." That line hit different. When I checked the joint account a week later, she'd started pulling more than usual. Lunches that cost too much, random Target runs. One Saturday, she said she was with her sister, but she bought gas across town. I knew because the card got flagged for fraud once. The location pinged in the middle of nowhere at a Shell station off I-70. I didn't confront her. I just kept adjusting. Every time she dipped in, I shifted my own deposits. Cut back to just enough to pay bills and keep her from asking questions. By the time she drained it, that account held maybe 2 months' worth of deposits. Chump change compared to what I'd built elsewhere. The rest? Locked down tight, secured, separated. She thought she'd won, that I was clueless, but I'd been building the escape route the whole time, and now the clock was ticking on hers. The sun had just dipped low behind the shop when her second message came through. "No need to beg. Kyle and I fly out tomorrow. I'll swing by later for my stuff." Still no emotion, no hesitation, just pure arrogance in black and white text. I stared at it, still holding a brake rotor in one hand, greasy fingerprints already on the screen. Kyle. I hadn't heard his name in a while. The intern. I met him once, December, at her firm's holiday party. Scrawny kid with over-gelled hair and a fake leather jacket. Looked like he was barely out of high school. Lila introduced him like he was nothing. Said, "This is Kyle, one of our interns." I shook his hand, looked him in the eye, and already knew he was too comfortable. He smiled too much, laughed too loud at her jokes. Now he was the one she was running to, across borders, across accounts, thought they were untouchable. I wiped my hands and grabbed my phone, but didn't answer her. I called someone else. "Hey, Dan," I said as soon as he picked up. He didn't need a full explanation. "He made his move?" "Yup," I said. "Time for ours." Dan was my lawyer. We'd been meeting quietly for about 6 weeks, ever since I saw the second hotel charge come through from Columbus. I told him the truth, laid everything out. He nodded through most of it, then said, "Start backing up receipts. Separate your finances, and don't say a word until she goes first." Well, she just did. "Everything's ready," he said. "We'll file first thing in the morning. You'll be the petitioner." Good. Another ping, another message. She was on a roll now. "You've still got your little garage. That'll keep you company in your 40s. I read it out loud and actually laughed. The kind of laugh that's got no joy behind it, just pure disbelief. That little garage was more than she ever understood. I built it from the ground up behind my uncle's old parts store. Started with just a floor jack, a rusted-out tool chest, and a leaky roof. Worked nights, weekends, holidays. Took every side job I could until I saved enough to register the LLC and get a real lease on the building. She never took it seriously. Called it my man cave. Said it was just something to keep me busy while she climbed the ladder at her firm. But while she was busy playing adult dress-up with an intern, I turned that garage into a full-service auto shop that paid for half our damn lifestyle. And every dollar of it was separate. Different bank, different tax return, different name on the paperwork. She never touched a cent of it. Let her think it was little. Let her think she got one over on me. Around 8:30 that night, I heard tires crunching over gravel outside the garage. I turned off the shop lights and peeked through the blinds. Her car. I didn't go out, didn't greet her, just watched from the shadows while she popped her trunk and carried out 2 gym bags and a tote bin full of clothes. She walked like she was in a movie, like she wanted someone to stop her. She paused halfway to the car, probably expecting me to storm out, beg, plead, do something dramatic. I didn't move. She stood there for maybe 30 seconds, then shook her head and drove off. I turned the lights back on and went back to work. Oil changes don't wait on drama. That night, I sat at the kitchen table with a cup of instant coffee and filled out the last of the documents Dan had sent. Labeled every screenshot. Sorted every bank statement. Notarized what needed notarizing. Everything airtight. No rage, no revenge plans. Just clean work. Precision. She thought I'd be curled up crying. I was prepping for court, and she had no idea what was coming. I woke up early Thursday morning, made coffee, then grabbed my laptop from the kitchen counter. Sat down at the table where Lila used to scroll Pinterest like it was a job and logged into our joint account. The Cancun charges were still sitting there. 2 round-trip flights, resort hotel, airport transfers, all on the card we were supposed to use for groceries and bills. I dialed the bank. "Yeah, I need to report some fraudulent activity on my joint account," I said. The rep on the other end asked for the usual verification, then asked what charges I was talking about. I gave her the flight information, hotel name, and the travel agency. "Those were not authorized by me," I said. "My wife drained the account and ran off with another man. I didn't approve a damn thing." She went quiet for a beat, like she'd heard the same exact story 10 times this week. Then she asked, "Do you have any proof you weren't part of the booking?" Got screenshots of her admitting to it in text. "Want me to email them now?" "No need," she said. "Based on your history and the account structure, we'll flag them immediately and start the reversal process. You'll see the credits post in a few days." She didn't say it out loud, but I could tell she knew the game. She'd seen this play before. I hung up, walked into the shop, and started my first oil change of the day. By Friday morning, the fireworks started. My phone buzzed nonstop while I was under a Ford Escape draining the pan. 10 messages in 5 minutes, all from Lila. I let it keep buzzing until I was done and wiped my hands on a rag. I scrolled through, not even surprised. The airline won't let us check in. They said the card got flagged and the reservations canceled. The hotel just called and said payment bounced. What the hell, Mason? Are you kidding me right now? I put the phone down on the workbench, turned it over so I didn't have to see it, and moved on to the next ticket. A timing belt on a Honda. Took my time, made sure every bolt was torqued right. I wasn't about to let her screw with my workday. By 2 p.m., just as I was finishing up and wiping down my tools, my phone rang. Caller ID, Brenda L., her mom. I let it ring once, then picked up. "Mason," she said, voice tight. "What are you doing to Lila?" I hit the speaker button, set the phone on the bench, and leaned on it with both hands. "Did she tell you what she did?" "She says you're sabotaging her, that she's stuck at the airport with no hotel and... Did she mention draining our joint account and flying to Cancun with her 22-year-old intern?" Silence. Long, uncomfortable silence. "She said you were cold, controlling." I laughed once, sharp. "I've got screenshots of every charge, every lie, every hotel. Want me to forward them?" More silence. Then a quiet, "No, that's not necessary." Call ended without another word. I went back to work. That night, I grabbed a 6-pack from the gas station down the street and sat on the back steps of the shop. Just me, the sound of passing cars, and the faint ping of another message from her that I didn't open. Let her sit in that airport. Let Kyle deal with the mess. I warned her with my silence. She mistook it for weakness. Now she was learning the difference. The next morning, I was rotating tires on a Civic when my sister walked into the bay with her phone in her hand, grinning like she just won the lottery. She waved the screen at me. "You want to see something?" I wiped my hands and took it. Text from one of Lila's old co-workers. "They're stuck at a motel by the airport. Kyle's freaking out. His card got declined and she's crying in the lobby." I handed it back. "Good," I said. "Let them enjoy their vacation." Word spread like brake fluid on concrete, fast and messy. People started talking. Her co-workers, our old neighbors, even the guy who used to mow our lawn. Kyle's credit cards kept bouncing. His account must have been maxed or frozen because by lunchtime someone else messaged my sister and said they saw him arguing with the motel clerk about processing errors. Lila's personal account? Pretty much empty. She'd been draining the joint one too fast and treating hers like a backup wallet. Probably thought Cancun would be a clean slate. Instead, they got a roadside motel with buzzing lights and no hot water. And then her sister, Amanda, the same one who clapped when Lila gave that empowered women empower women toast at their cousin's wedding, posted some sob story on Facebook about how people can be so cruel when you're trying to find happiness. She added a sunset stock photo and a line about healing. Didn't take long for the comments to turn. Someone posted a screenshot of Lila's "I'm leaving you" text. Another added the hotel booking receipt she used the joint card for. A third person asked if Kyle was even legal drinking age. By the time I saw it, the post had been edited to remove all the hashtags and turned off comments. Damage already done. Dan, my lawyer, called me that afternoon. "Judge saw the case," he said. "We're getting bumped to an early hearing. Apparently he doesn't like it when someone uses shared finances to book a beach getaway mid-marriage." I could hear the satisfaction in his voice. Guy was calm, measured, but he loved a clean win. I was wiping down the front desk counter when her next text came through. "Half that shop is mine. You started it after we got married." I stared at it for a second, then shook my head and forwarded it to Dan. I'd told him this was coming. I had every paper ready. The LLC registration from my first year, the lease agreement from when I moved out of my uncle's lot, business checking statements. Every wrench, every tire balancer, every tool was bought from my personal account. Started with the money I saved when I was working under-the-table jobs in high school. Lila never once came to the garage unless it was to drop off lunch or bitch about how long I was staying after close. She called it "your greasy man cave" more times than I could count. Now she wanted half. I messaged Dan, "Need anything else?" He wrote back, "Nope." She's reaching. We're covered. I turned off my phone and went back to sorting invoices. I had real work to do. Monday morning came fast. I pulled on a clean button-up and khakis, no tie, boots polished just enough to look respectable. Walked into Montgomery County Domestic Relations Court right at 8:40, coffee in hand, calm as a man going to get a tire rotated. She showed up 5 minutes later in some ridiculous "I'm living my truth" outfit. Leather skirt, bright blouse, sunglasses still on inside the building. Looked like she was headed to brunch with influencers, not a legal hearing. Kyle wasn't allowed in, but he stood out front pretending to be on the phone the whole time. Didn't even look up when I passed. Dan met me by the benches and handed me a copy of our packet. "Let them talk," he said. "We just need 5 minutes of clean facts." We sat down. Courtroom wasn't full. 3 other couples and 2 bored-looking clerks. The judge came in, short guy with a buzz cut and a voice like gravel, flipped through papers as he spoke. Petitioner Mason Keller, respondent Lila Keller, hearing to establish temporary financial orders and review asset division concerns. Her lawyer, some smug-looking guy in a navy blue suit, started with a little monologue, called her emotionally vulnerable, said she felt isolated in the marriage, claimed she'd been trying to find herself, and that I pushed her away. She was neglected. She's young. She wanted out, he said, trying to sound heartfelt. The judge didn't even blink. So she emptied the account and booked a romantic trip using her husband's card. The lawyer's face twitched. She acted emotionally. Fraud isn't emotional, the judge cut in. It's financial. Dan stood and handed the judge a thick folder. Exhibits A through F. Screenshots of texts, credit card statements, and confirmations of charges made without my client's consent. We also included timestamps, phone records, and evidence that all business assets were maintained separately since before the marriage. The judge flipped through the pages like he already knew what he'd find. Then came the move we'd expected. Her lawyer squared his shoulders and said, "We assert that Mr. Keller's auto shop constitutes a marital asset. It was established after the marriage began, and my client is entitled to half. Dan didn't even look fazed. He reached into his briefcase and pulled out the original LLC registration, tax returns from the last 6 years, and copies of equipment invoices paid from an individual account. Business was formed under a single-member LLC in 2013, Your Honor, he said. Long before Mrs. Keller took any interest. Every tool, bay rental, and dollar came from Mr. Keller's earnings. Not a cent was shared, not once. He paused just enough to look at her. She called it a hobby for years. Now she wants a cut. The judge leaned back. Mrs. Keller, were you ever employed by the business? She shook her head. Contribute financially to the launch? No. Help with administrative work? Invoicing? Advertising? She crossed her arms. I mean, I posted a couple photos on Facebook. The judge raised an eyebrow like he'd heard enough. Your claim to the shop is denied. Hobby or not, you didn't build it. You don't get to gut it now. Her lawyer opened his mouth like he was going to argue, but the judge was already moving on. Joint assets are frozen effective immediately, he said. Mrs. Keller will be required to reimburse the petitioner for the unauthorized expenditures. We'll determine the exact figure at the next hearing. Dan smiled without showing teeth. I kept my face neutral, but inside, it felt like the weight of 12 years cracked loose and hit the floor. When we walked out, Kyle was still outside, sitting on the hood of his Civic, scrolling through his phone like none of it applied to him. She walked right past him without saying a word. Dan slapped the folder closed and said, "They didn't see that coming." "No," I said, opening the truck door. "But I sure as hell did." After court, I didn't hear from her for a week. Not a peep, no texts, no calls, not even a second-hand update through my sister. Just silence. I figured they were still trying to recover from the legal slap the judge handed down. But by the second week, things started leaking out again. One of the guys who used to work at her firm came into the shop for a tire rotation. I didn't bring it up, but he did. Leaned over the counter like he was passing me classified intel. "She's crashing with a friend in Kettering," he said. "Some chick from her yoga class." I nodded. Didn't ask for more, but he gave it anyway. Apparently she and Kyle are sharing the spare room. Real romantic. I said, "Thanks," and went back to writing up the invoice. Truth was, I already knew. Word travels in a town like this. Kyle had blown through his credit line trying to impress her. Flights, bottles, fancy dinners they couldn't afford. And when the card stopped swiping and the bank started clawing back charges, reality set in. She texted me 2 weeks after court. First one came in at midnight. "You ruined everything." Then one an hour later. "We should talk." By sunrise. Maybe we went too fast. I didn't answer. Didn't even open the bubbles all the way. Just screenshotted each one and forwarded them to Dan like always. He didn't even reply anymore. Routine. The next week, she filed a motion to reopen the case. Claimed she'd been emotionally manipulated into accepting terms too quickly. Judge denied it without a hearing. Right after that, Kyle broke up with her. That came from Amanda, her sister, who I didn't expect to hear from again. She texted me just 4 words. "She's on her own." Then blocked Lila on everything. I didn't celebrate, didn't crack a beer or high-five anybody. I just walked into the garage and stared at the second bay I'd been meaning to open for over a year. The next morning, I called the concrete guy and scheduled the floor expansion. Hired a local teen from the high school auto shop program to help part-time. Kid reminded me of me when I was 17, eager, quiet, always watching. He showed up on time, didn't ask questions, just worked. Business picked up faster than I expected. Word got around. People started recommending me more. I think they respected how I handled everything. Didn't scream, didn't smear her name, just kept going. Meanwhile, Lila's crash wasn't just financial. It was social. She tried posting a selfie one night with some cheesy caption like, "Rebuilding, one day at a time," and got roasted in the comments. Someone even tagged me with a wrench emoji. I didn't respond. Didn't need to. She went from company events and wine tastings to ducking out of discount grocery stores wearing hoodies and sunglasses. A mutual friend said she'd applied at a few places and got turned down. People talk. Reputations matter. One day, I saw Kyle at the gas station on Route 4. He didn't see me, or maybe he did, and just kept walking. He looked different, deflated. The slick hair was gone. So was the fake swagger. Just another broke kid with a $5 bill in his hand, trying to get enough gas to make it across town. I got back in my truck and drove off. Didn't say a word. Every step forward I took, she took 2 steps back. I didn't need revenge. I had receipts and peace. A couple months after expanding the shop, I got an email from the Chamber of Commerce. They were putting together a business panel at the community college, local owners talking to younger guys about starting strong, protecting assets, avoiding dumb mistakes. I wasn't big on public speaking, but I said yes. Figured maybe one of them would hear something useful before it was too late. The panel was in a small lecture room, maybe 30 people in the crowd, mostly guys under 25. One of them raised his hand halfway through and said, "What's your opinion on joint accounts when you're getting married?" I didn't even hesitate. "Keep your love open," I said, leaning into the mic. "Keep your books closed." They laughed like I was joking. I wasn't. After the panel, a few students came up and thanked me. A couple asked about tools, startup costs, LLC paperwork. One guy just wanted to shake my hand and said, "You look like a dude who's been through some shit and came out clean." I said, "Something like that." Later that week, I was in the middle of patching a tire when I saw someone walk into the shop I hadn't seen in almost a year. Kelly. She used to work with Lila. Same firm, same department. Wore that stiff corporate smile back then, but today she looked relaxed, casual, like someone who finally left a job that sucked the life out of her. She stood near the counter watching me finish. I nodded toward her. "Need something done?" She shook her head. "Just here for a quick word." I cleaned up and walked over. She looked around, then said, "We all knew something was off." Lila always acted like she had something better lined up, always guarding her phone, talking like she was too good for regular people. When it all hit the fan, no one was surprised. I didn't say anything, just let her talk. "You handled it well," she added. "Quiet, clean, professional." "Appreciate that." She gave a tight smile and walked out. That was all I needed to hear. Word about Lila kept trickling back now and then. She tried dating again, but guys ghosted her fast once they heard the backstory. Dayton's not a big town. Kyle's friends turned on her too. One of them came in for a headlight fix and cracked a joke about her trying to treat Kyle like a full-time ATM. Said she expected him to pay for dinners, trips, clothes, even though she was broke and couch hopping. She thought she was moving up, he said. Turns out Kyle barely made 30 grand a year. Didn't stop her from spending 50, I muttered. He laughed, said I wasn't wrong. Last I heard, she was renting a room above somebody's garage on the west side. Poetic, considering how hard she came at mine. Some days I drove past that neighborhood on the way to pick up parts. Never slowed down, never checked which garage. Didn't matter. She'd already hit the wall. I was still building. There was this one message I never deleted. Not because it hurt, but because it reminded me. Enjoy your little garage. At least it'll keep you company in your 40s. She sent that the night before they were supposed to fly to Cancun. Thought it was a jab. Thought it would dig deep, leave a scar. Instead, I had it printed on clean white paper, black ink, simple frame. Hung it right above the filing cabinet in my office, dead center on the wall. Anyone who stepped inside couldn't miss it. Right below it, I mounted our monthly sales chart. Clean layout, red lines spiking higher every 30 days. Since the day she walked out, the numbers had tripled. More customers, more jobs, better margins. We stopped offering oil changes on weekends because we couldn't keep up. Some folks thought it was luck. Others figured I got some secret boost. Truth was, I'd just finally cleared the dead weight. A local reporter came by in early spring. Young guy writing a series on Dayton entrepreneurs. Took a few photos of the shop, asked about my backstory. I told him just enough to fill the article. Started young, built the shop from scratch, kept the books clean. Not a word about the divorce. Not even a mention of her name. I wasn't giving her that headline. A couple weeks after the piece came out, a college kid showed up with a clipboard and an internship badge. He was shadowing vendors for a class. His shirt was too clean for this place, but he asked good questions. Stayed quiet unless he had something to say. I respected that. Near the end of the day, we were standing by the front bay while I checked off a parts delivery. He looked around the garage, fresh paint, new tools, job boards stacked with tickets, and said, "How'd you grow so fast? You just opened a second bay last year, right?" I nodded. Didn't sugarcoat it. "Keep your head down," I said. "Keep your cash clean. And never underestimate a woman with a backup plan." He laughed like it was a punchline. I didn't. He stopped laughing pretty quick when he saw I was dead serious. That was the difference between him and me. He still thought people came with warning signs. I knew better. The garage stopped being just a business after that year. It turned into something else. Proof that discipline beats drama every time. When I walked in every morning and saw that framed message, I didn't feel anger anymore. Just fuel. Reminder of what happens when you let your guard down, and what happens when you learn from it. That frame didn't say I lost. It said I survived. And then I built something better. The second shop opened almost exactly a year later. Just one town over, Kettering, right off the main road. Bigger space, 3 bays, better visibility. The ribbon cutting made the paper. The reporter snapped a shot of me with the scissors, smiling with the crew. Below the photo, they printed the quote I gave when they asked what got me here. Built with patience, protected with proof. They thought it was just about the business, but I knew what I really meant. A few weeks after that, I was in the front office sorting payroll when the bell over the door rang. I looked up and saw a woman standing there, mid-30s, hair pulled back, holding her purse like it might run off if she loosened her grip. It took a second, but then I recognized her. Amanda, Lila's sister. She didn't smile at first, just stood there like she didn't know if I'd throw her out or ignore her. I didn't do either. I just waited. Finally, she stepped forward, looked around, then said, "I just wanted to say, you were right." I leaned back against the desk, arms crossed. She nodded slowly. We believed her, all of us, but she lied to everyone. Me, my mom, her friends, even Kyle, I guess. I didn't say anything, didn't need to. She looked down at the floor. I told her I was done after she tried to spin it like you abused her. That was the last straw. Another silence. I let it sit. Amanda finally looked up, eyes a little glassy but no tears. "Anyway, I just wanted to say that. I'm sorry for how we treated you." I gave her a small nod. "Appreciate you coming by." She nodded back, gave a faint smile, then left. Door shut quietly behind her. After that, things got quiet again. Work, staff meetings, parts orders, everything ran like clockwork. But every few months, like a bad habit that wouldn't quit, I'd still get a text from Lila. Nothing dramatic, no full paragraphs, just short lines, dropped like bait. "We could have had a great life," or "You were the only real one." Last one came on a Sunday. I was cleaning up the Kettering shop before close, looked down, saw the message light up. "Maybe we just got lost." I read it. Didn't respond. Never did. I wasn't angry anymore. Just uninterested. That part of my life closed like a garage door at the end of the shift. Now I had real things to care about. Real work. Real people. Real peace. No more guessing who was lying. No more drained accounts or late-night excuses. Just torquey wrenches, long hours, and the sound of tires hitting the pavement outside. The kind of quiet you earn. Would you forgive someone who drained your account and blamed you for it? Drop your answer in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more.
YouTube picked this for you. Tap it. Let's see if they guessed right.